Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for your time. I'm Frank Kania with Voice and Data Networks, and I am a senior client executive and head up our unified communications and collaboration practice. This afternoon we're going to speak in particular on an application for SIP and a case study of a customer for whom we've been able to make significant changes and benefits for their business. A brief overview on VDN, followed by an overview of Forklifts of Minnesota, which will be the subject of our discussions today, and then we will launch into the solution, key drivers for change, and then follow up with any questions or answers, questions you have and answers that we can provide. And more importantly, there's a unique opportunity we're offering of following this session, and that's an opportunity for you to sign up for a working whiteboarding session with a $500 value, and then you'll receive guidance and follow-up emails on how to enroll in that course if you'd like. So just a brief overview of Voice and Data Networks. We are a very holistic customer. We strive to be a single source for design, implementation, and management of are a progressive full-service provider of voice and data communication solutions, including hardware, software, and network services. We have a fully trained and certified team that is capable to design, manage, install, and maintain Avaya and Nortel communication systems throughout the U.S. And we offer full service sales and support organization to assist you not only in buying, but in using that equipment, but most importantly, in ensuring that your communication applications return profitability and efficiencies to you. We are a privately held company. VDN began in 1992 with just 2 employees. Today we have over 60 employees nationwide. We have our headquarters office and warehouse located in Edina, Minnesota, and regional offices in Denver, Columbus, and Scottsdale. With that, I will step into a brief touch point on Forklifts of Minnesota. And we can, just to give you a little grounding in what Forklifts does. And Forklifts was founded in 1949 here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They have branches in Minnesota and North Dakota, and are the largest provider of forklift equipment in Minnesota, North Dakota, and western Wisconsin, with over 125 employees. It's worth pointing out that they also have, in addition to carrying many lines of forklifts and material handling equipment, they also have computer design services aimed at providing people with warehouse and logistics design capabilities, and also source equipment, including rack shelving and other material handling products. So with that, I am going to step just a little bit into what Forklifts of Minnesota to address some issues they had. The biggest challenge, and I like to equate it, is too much information in too many places with too little time. They would characterize it, I think, in terms of 2 phones, 2 networks, creating a whole lot of problems. And when you look at this, you're talking about a company that has an issue with controlling those cellular expenses and being able to provide technical management and oversight of a multitude of different cellular devices, and most importantly, the burden of management, that ability to inventory, provide technical support, and manage proliferating cellular devices, which was, quite frankly, for them a moving target. It's worth pointing out, though, and it's an interesting phenomenon I think many of us have experienced, I know that I have, and that's that a lot of our mobile phone calls are often made within the confines of our own office. I often find myself sitting at my desk taking phone calls on my cell phone with a desk phone in ready reach, and that is really telling, because there's a cost structure that goes with that. What we're attempting to do is provide convenience and productivity, right? The right tool for the right problem at the right place at the right time. But with that tool, which is seemingly ubiquitous, is a whole lot of problems. 2 different phone numbers, that's a given. I mean, how many times do you hand out a business card with a whole slew of numbers, and it's like open season as to which number you're going to get the person on? 2 different voicemails. to manage and maintain and to check and respond to. Quite frankly, studies show 20 to 30% of your calls never reach the intended participant on the first try. In fact, the statistics show it's quite a bit higher than that, depending on the industry. And delays or halts due to difficulty in getting a hold of the right person. And for them, that risk is the loss of business resulting from inefficient internal communications. And that is really key when you really think about it, is how do you deal with reconciling those corporate voice features but giving it the convenience and agility that a mobile device provides. So when you think about this, I always like to think this picture, I think, depicts the real problem of communication devices today. And we all remember this. And I remember when they told me that I was going to get a computer years ago and all this technology, I was going to, the work week was going to go to 3 days, and I was going to work half days, and that I was going to the joy of the paperless office. And I'm not certain that that's really transpired. What we have is a lot more work in a lot of different venues with a whole new set of challenges that we never anticipated. So sure, I say technology has really improved things, but now we have a lot more things demanding of our time. We all have email and voicemail, and many of us instant messaging and text messaging on our cell phones, coupled with fax and conference and video calls, and now the advent of social networking and blogging. And we're seeing how quickly things go viral on the internet and how vocal people can become with alternative streams of communication. But what we really have is communication overload. There's, again, too many things in too many places in too little time. And there's a really great article, and if you ever get a chance to read this article, we can absolutely provide you with reprints of it if you'd like, and you can certainly let our marketing associate, Patty Page, know. But this article really dealt with some very telling facts. People spend a lot of time, 3 hours and 45 minutes a day, communicating electronically. In fact, it's very alarming. You can imagine the broadcast and cable networks are incredibly alarmed by this fact. It's finally overtaken the time spent watching television and how people where they devote their time in a day. But what I thought was really telling is where that time is actually spent. We spend about 88 minutes a day on the fixed line phone, over an hour talking on our mobile, and just under an hour emailing, and 22 minutes texting. What it tells me is alternative forms of communication, that is something other than a voice line, is now eclipsed what we would historically have determined as our lifeline. And that's critically important when we talk about how and where we manage our business, the expenses we incur, and the solutions that we need to devise. So I do a little writing for Gartner and spend a lot of time talking with the analysts at Gartner, and this factoid came to me, and it was pretty telling. I said by 2011, and 2011 is fast dawning, enterprises are going to support more mobile phones than they do desktop phones. And that's in fact true. I mean, that's true for a lot of businesses already, and I'm seeing many organizations shift from the fact that they had primarily just desk phones to worry about till they have 3 or 4 times or more cellular phones and a whole host of different devices within their organization that they have to manage and maintain. And quite frankly, it's presenting serious challenges for cost control and oversight. So what do they say? Roughly we have about 110 million office workers in the world. 99 million or so spend 20% or more of their time on the go. And what does that mean? And for me, it's really simple. More mobile people equals a lot more cost. I mean, plain and simple. It's a very simple math that I like. And the challenge is it's really difficult to reach people. Most first call attempts fail. And what I'm saying is between 50 and 70% of my customers' cellular minutes are used within the halls of the company. So what do we do about it? In the end of the day, what's in it for me? And when I look at this stuff, because that's always the question that I ask myself is, how am I going to benefit? What can it do for my business? Do I have the same or a similar problem? And recognize that SIP absolutely facilitates the solution that we're talking about, but SIP isn't a panacea and it won't solve all of your problems. It must be tailored and customized to your particular requirements. But it is extremely versatile. It enables things that 2 or 3 or 4 years ago wouldn't have even been possible. Would have been the stuff of dreams and talk, but nothing more. This stuff works. It's here. It's now. It's actionable. People are realizing the benefits. And one of those working sessions that you can follow up is one excellent way to identify key themes that we can work on together to move your business forward. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the elements of the solution. The goal here is to utilize existing network when possible to manage the wireless devices as well as the PBX, to be able to move mobile calls onto the existing network, including mobile to international. So now we're talking about a single phone number for both mobile and desk phone, so that both the phones are actually going to ring at the same time when a call is placed to that number. We're talking about a single voicemail box. So, for example, messages won't sit unheard on your desk phone inbox while you're on the road, and consequently, you know, calls to your mobile will not sit there unanswered as well, or those messages languishing. What we're talking about is the seamless ability to in transparent transfer capability between desk and mobile phone during a call, meaning you can actually switch in the middle of a conference call from your desk phone to your cell phone or vice versa without anyone on the line noticing. And then most importantly, we're talking about having access to many useful PBX features on your cell phone, such as conference calling, call forwarding, transfer on hang up, and more, meaning the ability of bridging a consumer device with an enterprise solution. So those are the things that drove people to look at this. When we talk about this, we'll advance the slide here and talk just about the solution that we crafted for Forklifts of Minnesota is an offer in conjunction with Sprint, referred to as Sprint Mobile Integration. It, in short, enables a simplified end-user experience. It's going to provide that improved telecommunications tracking and control that we discussed earlier. It is coupled with the PBX and consists of a pairing of application servers and media gateways, allowing multiple devices and networks, essentially via PBX and the Sprint network, to interoperate with each other, with the wireless device now becoming an extension of the premise-based PBX. So you're not required to call into the PBX anymore, and all the calls are on your long-distance plan. It gives you the same class of service, class of restriction benefits. So now you can exercise control over that remote device, much as you can the phone on someone's desk. So when you talk about this, we're really talking all those intra-company calls, whether they're to or from a mobile device, are going to be dialed just like at the office, no extra digits. Essentially, we're removing the distinction between the mobile and the desk phone. That we get that one number and one voicemail means staying connected is going to be greatly simplified, and messages no longer go unheard. This lets your business and your customers be always on, and to me, that's critically important. And more importantly, one feature set for voicemail, conferencing, forwarding, and so on means people can be ramped up and focused on your business rather than mastering the tools. And while that sounds modest, it's critically important. What's more important to point out is because the mobile is now an extension of the PBX, mobile calls are dialed just like in the office. If you have a 5-digit dialing plan at the office, you'll be dialing 5 digits from your mobile phone as well. So let's talk a little bit about how it works, and there's some animation here, so we'll let it build out, and you're going to see, but there's essentially some key components that exist here. And we'll watch them. There's essentially the Cisco Unified Border Controller element, which is the Cube device, which provides for interoperation between the Sprint network and the premise-based PBX. The multimedia system, which is essentially provides for call control. You have SIP enablement services, which provides for the signaling and management, and then the Sprint mobile and integration piece, which is what controls the wireless endpoint. When you see what you basically have, the key components are really critically important here. And when you look at these components, the beauty is that they're things you already have. I mean, there's very minimal introduction of infrastructure and hardware to support this to realize tremendous benefit. It supports both digital and IP phones, and it is controlled by a VIA communications manager. It is not dependent on the phone model or software that you're running. So that's really critical. It's not like rip and rip. You needn't upset the apple cart, introduce a whole lot in the way of a new experience for desk users in the office. And when we're talking about it, a VIA communication manager, everybody's familiar, we'll do a little quick walkthrough, is the PBX, provides the basic telephony functionality, the enterprise dial plan, the class of restriction and class of service, meaning the capabilities and features that people are allowed to use and where not they're allowed to call. It provides for the desktop functionality, meaning the feature access buttons and what capabilities each respective user is enabled with at their desk phone. It can be customer or third-party managed. It requires that's worth pointing out. There is a CM license required for the PBX and the mobile number, so that's worth pointing out, but that's one of the things we engineer for you, so you need not spend a lot of time figuring out, do you have the right piece parts? We can find that out for you as well. It does require a VIA SIP enablement services, a minimum of SIP server 5.1. Support is required also for a VIA extension to cellular, or EC500, as some of you may know it by, which is software integrated with a VIA communication manager and provides for mobile functionalities such as simultaneous ring, or you might hear in the industry dual forking if you're experienced with Microsoft or Cisco. Provides for the simplicity of single voicemail. Now you have one enterprise voice message, and we need not concern ourselves with voicemail on the mobile device. Also provides for a mid-call transfer, which is, there is a license required for that as well. And then a VIA modular messaging. Modular messaging support is required if you're going to deliver a voicemail, and for sending email messages to the mobile phone in the way of what I would call a message waiting indicator when you think about that, which will be for mobile users displayed as a text message, which I think was, in my opinion, far preferable because I'm more often than not on my mobile device, and however beautiful my message waiting indicator on my phone may be, doesn't serve me very well if I'm not sitting in front of my desk. The next piece is, as I said, the Cisco Unified Border element, or Cube, is provided by Sprint in the solution and managed by them. It allows a VIA communication manager to connect to the Sprint network and provides a network-to-network demarcation interface. It essentially provides for the signaling internetworking necessary to support the security, quality of service, and bandwidth management necessary to have the solution. So it actually allows for that seamless integration between the premise-based PBX as well as the Sprint wireless network and the associated mobile devices. The WAN router obviously is something the customer can supply. It is integrated into the Cube for some customers, but it is largely, not something we'll focus on a lot here, but if you want to know all the particulars as to why, we can talk about them later. The intention of this one is to go heavily into the engineering of it, nor to focus on the RFCs and so on associated with SIP, but we're certainly able and willing to hold forth on that but we'll tailor it to your unique requirements. And the last one is the Sprint network. Sprint sized, bandwidth sized appropriately for the number of calls, does not require your entire WAN to be with Sprint, but you do require a data connectivity to the Sprint network to support the interoperation between the two, between the Avaya architecture and Sprint's network. And then obviously last but not least, the mobile device itself. So so if you want an idea, just a little idea of what the data paths in signaling look like. The blue tracks will be signaling the, I'm not sure what color we're going to call it. We're going to call it brown or a sick green or something is the call path. So if we'll let it build out here. So this takes an incoming call to the PBX. It's going to go to the Avaya PBX, the signaling out to the Sprint network, and then you will have and that call will be connected, so that the person has the option to answer it at either place, either their desk phone or their mobile device. And you can see the signaling there to allow for it, and you can see the actual call path. In this case, the person chose to actually take the call on their desk phone. So go ahead and in an incoming call, and you answer it on your mobile phone. So we'll let it build out here, and you'll see in comes the call on the PSTN, hits the Avaya switch. We get your simul ring, and then you're going to watch your data path build out here. That's going to be the solid line, and you're actually going to see, there you go, you'll actually see that the call is actually routed through the PSTN into the Avaya switch, and then out through the border device, through the router out to the Sprint wireless network, so that you can take the call on the Sprint mobile device. It's worth pointing out, if you integrate instant messaging or presence, and I'm in the field taking the call on my Sprint mobile device, you know, if you're using, let's say, Office Communicator, it's going to show the person on their mobile device on a call and busy, just as if they were sitting at their desk. In another place, we talk about call from a coworker, from mobile coworker answers on the desk phone. So remember, I said you have the simplicity here of calling 5-digit dial, 4-digit dial, what have you, from the mobile device to any desk-based worker. So the call is going to come in through the cube, through the Avaya PBX, ring the desk phone. You'll see the call path here build in just a moment, and you can see but the couple key things: you're not using any trunk usage on the PSTN because it's coming through the Sprint network, through the cube for interoperation, right to Communication Manager. More importantly, you're not using any minutes on the cell phone either, because remember we're saying now the mobile device is an extension of the premise-based PBX architecture. You're not burning any minutes either. Remember I said that 50 to 70% of the time you're burning minutes sitting at your desk? Not anymore. Coworkers can call mobile to mobile as well. So we'll see that case, again, much like one extension to another extension. So you can see that couple key themes. You're looking at where the signaling goes, and you're going to watch the voice path build out here in just a minute. And guess what? No trunk usage, and it's all managed within the Sprint network. It's in the cloud here, all managed from the wireless perspective. The only activity that's going between the premise and the network is the actual signaling activity, on hook, off hook, call state, that sort of thing. No net usage on either phone, and no PSTN trunk usage, which also means you'll be able to right size and better manage your PSTN trunk capabilities because you're offloading much of that traffic. From a call from mobile to a customer, a very common scenario. I spend a lot of time on my phone calling customers, so you can take a look and see the example here. In from the cloud, right to the customer, again, right through Sprint's network, through the PSTN no trunk usage, because I don't need to go through my gateway at all, because I'm not placing any calls out to the PSTN. Sprint will place it for me. No trunk usage, only signaling again. Bandwidth, quality of service is all managed within the Sprint wireless network. So a couple things we learned, because you said, this sounds really great. It works really well. Customers have been very pleased. They've managed significant savings, both in terms of being able to cap and manage their wireless costs, reduce support and ongoing maintenance costs, because now they have a common feature set across the devices they have in their network. A lot more predictability and sustainability in the thing, and that is really key for them. And it has allowed them to markedly reduce their long distance and networking costs. A couple things to learn: the check-in, check-out feature that when you actually want to sign in, sign out on the mobile device, actually requires 2 stations, right to use, one for the physical desk phone and a virtual or exported station associated with the mobile phone. So that's a couple things when we size the solution, make care to make absolutely certain that the appropriate licenses and right to use exist on the Avaya architecture in support of the solution. We also uncovered some outbound fax issues. We were finding that in some instances outgoing faxes were failing as a result of some improper detection of fax tone and a lack of support for T38 or G711 failover. So basically the faxes wouldn't detect the right tones, and hence you'd get a lot of send failures on fax transmissions. And we worked with Sprint to identify a bypass solution and implement 2 separate trunk groups that would allow the outgoing faxes to be successful. We've actually implemented one called an ALU bypass solution, and then we are working on another solution which is in the process of testing utilizing the public internet to transmit the faxes. So the moral of the story here is I want to say that we bring with us not only a holistic view of the business and understand what the customer wants to do and how their objectives were aligned with this particular solution, but all the technical skill to partner with organizations to deliver a complete end-to-end solution and find creative solutions to problems that are known issues, in this case with SIP, so that we could provide the customer with all the benefits and cost savings without forgoing an element which was critical to their business, which was the ability to send faxes. So with that, I just wanted to highlight some key themes here which I think are key. And when you think is mobile to international calls are billed as if they originated from the enterprise, resulting in a lower rate, and also increasing the benefits in terms of control of mobile usage, because now you can restrict who can call and where they can call, even on their mobile phone. So for example, if you want to, all dial pay for services can be disabled, much like they would be from your desk phone, and you can limit directory assistance and all those things that are, very expensive. When mobile to enterprise calls incur no airtime charges, as you notice, enabling your organization to deliver features to your users within a fixed monthly cost, with all calls within the enterprise being free. Really, when I used to budget, one of the things I always wanted was predictability, right? I wanted to know when and how much I was going to spend for something. And if I could get that to be capped and measurable and predictable over time, I was thrilled. If it got cheaper, even better still. Mobile phones can replace desk phones, reducing your expenses and providing the simplicity of single number access. I was just working with a customer yesterday who said the same thing: I don't want to buy any more desk phones. I've got people equipped with mobile devices. Can't one device get the job done? And when I talk about onboarding of employees, when we talk about moving people into the business and making them productive faster and cheaper anywhere, and then combining with oversight and manageability that you receive with the corporate PBX you already have, can't be beat. And then when we're talking about, with intelligent signaling and routing, you can reduce the number of trunks you have as the mobile to enterprise calls are all routed through the data connection, and mobile to mobile calls are all handled, in this case, on the Sprint wireless network. So there's really, you can actually right size or downsize your PSTN connectivity accordingly, resulting in fairly significant savings. The last element I just wanted to touch on were some key things. You know, what at a base level do you need to think about? This is not inclusive of everything, but hits the high points. You need an Avaya premise-based PBX defined as either an IP, or TDM PBX. So you need a qualified Avaya voicemail system. So you, in this case, it would be modular messaging. So you need support for DID or direct inward dial. You need Sprint CDMA or power source phones. There are a number of devices, and you know, we can go over those or provide that to you if you like. We're also going to do support for Sprint MPLS is in there if you want. And the sweet spot for this is typically 150 seats or more, or plans to ramp up to that point. I have a polling question we'd like you to answer if you would. So if folks wouldn't mind taking a brief moment to do that, I'd appreciate it. And we'll pause here momentarily for that. Okay, and we'll close the voting on this one. And then I have one that's actually quite closely related to this. So I'm going to ask you that one as well. And this really has to do with long distance usage, just because you noticed that was the reference we made, either international or domestic, is where SIP and solutions leveraging SIP such as this can you know, be of great benefit to you. So this is something I did, and yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, the results are about what I would expect, so thank you. I appreciate that. And so then the last thing I'm going to move to the next slide here, and I'd like to open this up to questions and answers. So I think you have to raise your hand in the, if it feels like I'm taking you back to grade school, I'm not intending to. But if you raise your hand, we'll take on any questions that you have. Rest assured, you need not, if you're interested in one of the working sessions and to schedule one of those, you need not raise your hand and request it. You'll receive email instructions on how to set that up for yourself. And that is a $500 value, about an hour time and I want to underscore this, with technical skill, engineering resources that can whiteboard particular problems you have and viable solutions available for you. So do we have anyone, Patty, that's, so I have one remaining question for you, I think. And so I will leave you to, and this one just has relative to plans you might have with respect to your PBX infrastructure or any refresh plans that you have that might fit with something like this. Particularly useful to you folks, because if you are absolutely considering a refresh or an upgrade, then that's a perfect time to start looking at things like SIP enablement services and other things that can help you leverage some of the capabilities that we discussed. We'll give you just a couple more minutes if anyone wants to issue a response. And then I think then I will wrap it up here, give you, I think there'll be one closing questionnaire related to any future topics that you might wish. I encourage you folks, if you're interested, to sign up for one of the working sessions I think you'll find it quite worthwhile. I wanted to thank you again for your time. Wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season. There's a parting questionnaire. You will receive a follow-up email, and it will give you instructions to sign up for the working sessions, and also allow you to take out any other topics or questions that might arise following this session. So feel free to let us know of any questions you have, and we'll be sure to deal with them promptly. Okay?
Yeah, again, if you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. But please look forward to an email to sign up for the working session. Thanks again for joining.